So I've got two packages here, but I was only expecting one, and this one says gift inside right there. So I'm taking a guess that this is actually the DVD collection subreddit's spring gift exchange. So yep, definitely. We've got The Life of Brian, which is good because I was actually quoting this to some new people I met recently, trying to remember the name of one of the guys, Brian, and I quoted the scene from There I Know. And of course, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Excellent classic. And here we have the Blu-ray and DVD version of Tron Legacy, which pretty much means I have to go get Tron, because I would assume that the first one isn't on here. But this is actually really good editions. I've definitely gotten well, I haven't been directly criticized, but not having Monty Python and the Holy Grail is one of those things that people do say I really should have. I mean, I've seen it a lot of times, but since they come to me for stuff to watch, not having that one sometimes does come back. Before I continue on, I just need to remember the name of who's gifting to me. Yes, TheRealJShaff. Yep. Sorry, I forgot the name. I probably should have looked it up before the video, but thank you, RealJShaff. These are actually really excellent editions. I've especially wanted to watch Life of Brian. The other two are definitely things I watched before and definitely wanted in the collection. Thank you. Now that those not anime items are out of the way, here's today's box. I guess I started opening it, I'll finish it, but it occurred to me that I do have something else to probably show before we dive into these 4 DVDs that arrived. And that's another Adult Source Media compilation. See, it's a Adult Source Media, Big Boob Babes, and 1 hour huge hentai titties. Basically, it's a collection of... It's another collection of scenes from various hentai. This one just happens to be focused on big breasts, and since the entire cover is covered with breasts, I pretty much don't think I can show it on YouTube without triggering something. For those curious, I was only able to definitely tell like 3 of the titles. Well, okay, only definitely tell 1 of them. Suspect for 2 of them. Not titles, scenes. I guess while we're at it, no, let's just go through these first. First up, we got a 3rd Berserk movie, The Advent. Golden Age Arc 3. I get the impression that these movies are probably approaching the point where content-wise they're covering the same content as the series did. The stuff that at least wasn't created for the series. I don't know how much is changed, but I think this is starting to become a much higher priority watch, because at this point there's a good chance that everything new that comes out Berserk related will be completely new content, as opposed to maybe mostly new, or maybe better told, or something. I don't know. I'm not making any judgment about this versus the old series, because for now I've not seen this. The other thing that arrived in that package is DVD and Blu-ray versions of From the New World. And this is a Sentai release, so you definitely have to check to see if it's dubbed and what regions it is, because the Sentai releases. So we can see here on the back of the DVD, all 13 episodes to DVD set. The audio has English and Japanese, so this is dubbed. And this is collection 1, so it's not the only thing to come out. And so in the back of the Blu-ray version, we can see it's regions A and B. Looking at the contents. Not entirely sure what I'm looking at, but it kind of reminds me of Shingu's Secret of the Stellar Wars. Not in the artwork, but rather in, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. And then, of course, the Blu-ray version has 2 pieces of artwork. The first discs are always the same. And this time, disc 2 is the same in both of them. Naturally, that's not everything that arrived. I also got a Naruto Shippuden DVD set 18, which I did mention last time was sitting in the mailbox at work, I guess, and I didn't do anything about it, because basically, yeah, Amazon is shipping stuff, almost everything through USPS now, apparently. Technically, I think what they're doing is they're giving it to a company called JW Logistics. That's what the tracking on Amazon says, up until the point where it gets in the city, and then they start and then it switches to USPS. I haven't finished watching all of this yet. My friend and I only watched the first half of it, which basically means that we're definitely going to finish it this coming weekend. Maybe also Blood Prison, I don't know. Obviously, here's the Blu-ray version of the Familiar of Zero. Something else I mentioned was released last week, but had not shipped and would not have made it to last week's update. But, there you go. There's also a DVD version of this. It's region A. Audio is obviously English, because it was dubbed before by Genion, I believe. So I'm probably going to revisit that simply because I think there's probably a good chance other stuff could start getting released. Oh gosh, sorry. It's been a hell of a day. And then finally, we got another NIS released, Nyaruko Crawling with Love. Which, from the name, it might not be entirely obvious, but Nyaruko is basically a cutesy way of saying Nyarlathotep, which is a Lovecraftian deity, I think maybe from the Cthulhu mythos, except I'm not entirely sure if that terminology is right. I think they might refer to it that way in the anime, but you could, if you wanted to think of this, basically Nyarlathotep is usually depicted as a humanoidish person or a mass of tentacles. Basically, it has many different incarnations, I think, and this one is, of course, about how the Lovecraftian deities are really aliens. And she's a Nyarlathotepian or something. So, going in here, this one is a little damaged. I don't remember if opening these before, if I've had to take plastic off of these. But I did this time, so if that's new, then it's new. But if it's not new, then I guess I just completely forgot. Obviously, an advertisement in here for Fuse, which I don't have yet. Wagnara 2, Brave 10, and Yuri, which I do have. And you can see, you can just guess what type of anime it is. Basically, action-y harem, I guess. And there is, of course, the normal NIS book, which has pretty much the usual stuff in it, character and episode information, although I have not looked very carefully about episode information. I didn't notice anything in particular, but it's another good NIS release, I think. I was definitely excited for it because I was familiar with the series and wanting to finally see what kind of bastard anime had finally created. What have we done? It's region A only, Blu-ray only, and I guess that's all of this week's anime. Not a bad selection, I would say. maybe not spectacular, but this month is slow, and next month is looking fairly slow as well. But I guess it can't always be fast months, and it's still kind of an expensive month. Actually, I guess just affording all anime is always kind of expensive. So let's see. First of all, not a lot of anime watching happened last week. Not as much happened last week because of Toilet Magic Madoka Magica Movie 3. Basically, I spent the week digesting it. But overall, I think I've finally fully digested it. Whether that means I can talk about it in... I don't know. I mean, it's still very... spoilerish to try and talk about it, I guess. But I did watch additional things. For example, I did watch the first disc of the Naruto Shippuden DVD set 18, sorry. And I thought it was pretty good. It maybe not like super exciting, awesome, but it feels like it's story building. Even if there are some distractions going on that might be filler. Are probably filler. But it's all good, because it at this point it actually feels a lot more like One Piece. Like you can kind of feel some of the progress happening, even though filler is happening. And I guess it's been that way for a little while in Shippuden. Outside of that, I guess I don't really have much more to comment on, other than still interested to see what the series is about to do. I suspect either the next disc or the next set excuse me, should give me more of an impression of where the series is going from this point. Let's see, according to my notes, okay, yes. Obviously, I watched Nyaruko, and I'd say it's a bit of a mixed bag, but overall, it's okay. I think a common thing I noticed while watching it is that there were a lot of little things about it that kind of had me saying, that had me concerned, not sure if I really cared as much, and then eventually the series built them up into something that was kind of amusing. A really good example is that our main character kind of starts questioning the good intentions of Nyaruko from the beginning and develops a habit of attacking her with a fork, which is kind of concerning. But they took it in surprisingly funny directions, actually. I'm not sure how to describe them without like giving them away. This is the sort of series where there isn't really much plot to it per se. I think that's actually one of the good things about it, is it kind of sets itself up like it's about to do a stereotypical plot development, and then it kind of just turns out to just be a silly thing, sort of. Reminds me of Slayers a bit in that regard. Where with Slayers, it was pretty hard to tell when something major was going to happen or not, because the next monster could be a really powerful goofball, or the next one could be a really weak but powerful looking monster, or they could be one of the 4 demons that found all of creation or something like that. Not that Nyaruko ever necessarily went that far, but overall, it had amusing moments. I think it still had one annoying thing from these harem sort of anime, where the main character is forced to treat Nyaruko nicely just because if he doesn't, then she gets sad and other people blame him for her having unreasonable expectations. But that one little thing aside, I thought it was actually fairly enjoyable. I think its rating's probably just fine. There's nothing about it that struck me as going to blow a lot of people's minds. It's just amusing. Let's see. I did also start watching Ebby, which I guess in the very, very beginning it started out kind of good, but then it kind of felt like it degenerated into a bad imitation of the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. In particular, it gave us the main girl, and she looked eccentric, but in a way that had us curious. And then as soon as she gets into the club room, which apparently she's the club leader of, there are a bunch of eccentrics, and she's immediately undressing the cute moe girl. And the disappointing thing is that I don't find it funny just because the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya knew how to make that funny. In particular, by giving us the inner thoughts of Kyun as it happened. He basically plays a straight man to a rather absurd situation, so to speak. And that's kind of what makes Haruhi Suzumiya funny. And so this one I kind of felt like it doesn't quite understand its humor as much. It's coming up with random stuff and sometimes gives a chuckle, but it feels like it's more miss than hit. A lot of that can, of course, be personal opinion, but actually, I guess you would have to say that the straight man, silly man idea is probably a personal opinion. It might be a widely shared one, though, because most people don't seem to rate it particularly high as well. Now, the truth of the matter is, I actually started watching it early next week. I just didn't make any progress because of the Madoka stuff. And then Nyaruko arrived, and I watched that in my free time instead because that one was far more curious to me. But I've put Ebby back in, so I'm definitely going to watch some more of that. The truth of the matter is I've only given it 3 episodes, so I need to give it more. Well, I guess I don't need to give it more. There's a kind of rule that you should give an anime 3 episodes to establish stuff, where if it's going to pull any tricks, then if it does it within the first 3 episodes, then you fell for the trick, I guess. If you didn't think it was going to be that sort of anime, that is. And I can think of a lot of anime where that applies. Somewhere you only need to really watch 1 episode to get drawn in. And I don't know what Ebby's number of episodes value is supposed to be, but I guess it's fair to say that I'm not sure what I'll think about it. It's got some interesting little mysteries, but nothing that would make me think there would be a whole lot of payoff to finding out what the answers to those are. And because it just rather abruptly introduces most of its characters and their eccentricness, I guess they haven't really had a chance to grow on me. Like it feels forced or something. Oh well, again, I'll still watch it and figure it out. So, other things to talk about. This has been a good... today I purchased all of my May anime DVDs and Blu-rays, and there were some interesting things there. I am going to purchase the new release of the first season of Lupin the Third, only because, as far as I can tell, that comes with a pilot film, which might not have been released with the first one. I noticed that there's been a re-release of a couple of stuff, and I had to figure out if there were new dubs added to old stuff that I didn't remember. The Book of Bantor is a good example. That one's being released on DVD and Blu-ray, and I know I already purchased that, I just didn't remember what I had. Did I already have it on DVD? Did I already have it on Blu-ray? It turns out I think it was only DVD released, but it was dubbed, and... well, I guess I didn't see anything new about the DVD Complete Collection, but that's what they did. They had a Collection 1 and Collection 2, and now they have a DVD Complete Collection and a Blu-ray Complete Collection coming out, which are good. Gosh, I thought there was some there were definitely more interesting things. I'm just trying to remember what. I know there's a couple of Aniplex releases, Persona 3 obviously, and Secret X Service, maybe? I'm not sure. It's really unfortunate. I guess maybe I'll make comments if I remember anything else particularly notable. I did at least remember that the first week of May is going to be a really small update, so I'll probably do my first and long time padding. And obviously, I'm going to pad it with the other recent Yu-Gi-Oh! Releases. Oh! Maybe I just looked out and I noticed certain things, not stuff that was coming out next week, but stuff that was coming out beyond that. I think it's, what is it, Discotheque, Eastern Star, new video? One of those is getting a lot of anime that probably should have been released just because of their cult status, but were overlooked. I think School Days is one of those. That's one of the big ones. But I did notice that Mononoke is getting a release. And that one's pretty big because in the Ayakashi Samurai Horror Tales anime, there's 3 stories, and the third and final one, the Goblin Cat, aka Bakeneko, I think. That one was spectacular. It's like one of those spectacular hidden gems of anime. And there was an entire series based off of it called Mononoke, which never got released here in the States, which has always disappointed me, but it looks like it might finally be coming out. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe there were other things I was thinking about, but nothing comes to mind at the moment. So I guess I'll end this video by thanking TheRealJShaff for the awesome additions to my collection. Things I've really needed and should have gotten, but I don't get these sorts of things. So, thank you very much. And y'all, have a nice week.